In the book of Exodus, we journey through one of the most dramatic and defining stories in the Bible. This book, the second of the five books of Moses, tells the epic tale of Israel's liberation from slavery in Egypt and the beginning of their covenant relationship with God. The story begins with the Israelites, descendants of Jacob, suffering under the oppressive rule of Pharaoh in Egypt. For over 400 years, they lived in bondage, forced into hard labor, and treated as property. The cries of the Israelites reach the heavens, and God, remembering his covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, decides to act. Enter Moses, a Hebrew man raised in the Egyptian palace, but who fled after killing an Egyptian taskmaster. Now living in Midian, Moses encounters God in a burning bush on Mount Horeb. God reveals his name as I am who I am, and calls Moses to be the deliverer of his people. Though Moses is reluctant, God assures him that he will be with him and gives him signs to perform before Pharaoh. Moses returns to Egypt with his brother Aaron, and together they confront Pharaoh with God's command, "Let my people go." But Pharaoh's heart is hardened, and he refuses. What follows are the 10 plagues, divine judgments upon Egypt that display God's power over creation, from turning the Nile into blood to the death of the firstborn in every Egyptian household. These plagues culminate in the institution of the Passover, where the blood of a lamb protects the Israelites from the final plague. Finally, after the death of his own son, Pharaoh relents and allows the Israelites to leave. They depart Egypt in haste, but Pharaoh's change of heart leads him to pursue them with his army. Trapped at the Red Sea, the Israelites seem doomed, but God parts the waters, allowing them to cross on dry land. When the Egyptians follow, the waters return and drown the entire army, marking a definitive end to Israel's captivity. The journey continues as the Israelites move through the wilderness toward Mount Sinai. They struggle with hunger, thirst, and doubt, but God provides manna from heaven, water from a rock, and quail for meat. At Sinai, God establishes a covenant with Israel, giving them the 10 Commandments and detailed laws to govern their community. These laws are meant to shape them into a holy nation, distinct from other peoples. But even as they receive these divine instructions, the people falter. When Moses ascends Mount Sinai to receive the law, the Israelites, impatient and fearful, create a golden calf to worship, breaking the first commandment they had just received. God's anger burns, but Moses intercedes, and though there is punishment, the covenant is not revoked. The book closes with the construction of the tabernacle, a portable sanctuary where God's presence will dwell among his people. Every detail is meticulously followed according to God's command, symbolizing Israel's dedication and obedience. When the tabernacle is completed, God's glory fills it, signifying that despite their failures, he will dwell with them as they journey to the promised land. Exodus is a story of deliverance, covenant, and God's unwavering commitment to his people. It shows us a God who hears the cries of the oppressed, who acts with power and justice, and who desires a deep and abiding relationship with his people. This relationship is not without challenges or failures, but it is marked by God's faithfulness and the promise of his presence, guiding his people through every wilderness they face. This is the book of Exodus, a story of liberation, revelation, and the beginnings of a nation under God. As we close this exploration of the book of Exodus, let's remember that this ancient story is not just about a people long ago, but about the journey we all take in seeking freedom, purpose, and connection with the divine. The story of Exodus invites us to trust in the God who leads us through our own wildernesses, who hears our cries, and who calls us into a relationship that transforms and sustains us. If this journey through Exodus has inspired or moved you, consider subscribing and sharing your thoughts in the comments below. Let's continue to explore these timeless stories together, drawing wisdom and strength for our own lives today. Until next time, may you walk in faith, hope, and the light of God's guidance. Shalom.